Hey.
All right, this is a pre-show thought. You ready?
Ooh, I love a good pre-show thought.
You want to know a sign of progress?
Yes.
I didn't even know it was raining today.
Wow.
When I stepped outside.
That is a miracle.
I did not even know
Look
it
at
was
you.
raining.
You're like a whole new person.
Moving on from fear.
Yes.
That's what it is.
No, I'm the one afraid of rain, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I've passed my fear off to you.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Hello.
Shall we do this?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Day 12.
Day 12. Wow, that is wild.
That's pretty well. There we go. All right. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. Elliot Short Parks, James Seltzer with you as it is Tuesday. And the Eagles are still in the freaking Super Bowl. How you doing, buddy? I'm so excited. But yesterday was just a day of happiness, of joy, of celebrating, of thinking about the accomplishment, of reading all the fun stats out there, of all the cool things this team has accomplished this year. And now we get like 2 weeks to get excited for the biggest game of the year. It's awesome.
I will say, so a cool moment, and you're right about like it continues to kind of settle in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think after they win on Sunday, it's like, wow, like
they're in the Super Bowl,
right? And then it's Monday where it's like, oh my God, I can't. It is crazy to still like see all the Super Bowl signage. It has Jalen Hurts on. I remember in 2017 being in the Mall of America in Minnesota, and there was this huge poster, and it was Tom Brady and Nick Foles, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, even like you go to like the ESPN homepage, and it's like Jalen and Mahomes, Super Bowl 57, and like every single time I see one of those things, like I get chills.
Yeah, and just thinking about being at the state, I just like it all kind of settles in. You know, personally, a lot of like planning for being in Arizona, and like it's fun to think of all that stuff. But a really cool moment. I thought that really like kind of put into perspective how awesome this is for really everybody involved. Even just, you know, the workers that I follow on Instagram, like posting all the pictures of like them with their family on the field saying we're going back to the Super Bowl. And it's just like cool stuff like that.
Yeah, like Jason Kelsey with his daughter on the field, you know, picking up the confetti and
100%.
All that stuff.
But even outside of the players, and I do have a player story I want to tell in a second, but it's also just cool. Look, you work for the organization.
Sure.
You know, I don't know every person that works there, but from your experience, I think, you know, a lot of people that work for the Eagles are like really good people.
Great people.
Exactly.
So I work
like people you're happy for, like, and, you know, in the PR staff, like Anthony.
I love
like
it.
John,
Anthony and John.
Like Allie.
I was an intern. John Ganode and I were interns together at another radio station. What seems like 1,000 years ago. Like,
you're just both dominating the game.
I mean, like Fran Duffy, like all those guys. They're wonderful people, and that I can tell you
that they get to experience like the CR staff, like Julie. Like it's just cool to see all the people that don't play for the team. Like, you know, fans will know really who they are, but they get to go to the Super Bowl, and they're going to get a Super Bowl ring. Like, just that's been the cool part. But the other thing, unless you had something else to add on.
No, I was going to say you're absolutely right. Like people don't know those people.
Yeah.
But, you know, as I worked for the team in 2012, 2014, you obviously cover the team. You're dynamic all the time. Like, I do think that is something that you're right to bring up that we don't talk about a lot, that people don't know that, you know, outside of the players and the front office and those type of people that we always talk about, the coaching staff and all that, like the Eagles do a really, really good job of just employing good people.
Yeah.
Like it's a nice place to work, you know?
So
from an atmosphere, obviously, I work for the Philadelphia Eagles, it's nice. But I'm saying everyone's friendly, Spuds, like they're all like awesome dudes there, dudes and gals and all that stuff. You know?
So on Monday night, final players lounge, by the way, last night of the season.
Did you get emotional?
No,
maybe tear up a little bit
at
the end.
I am big into like doing the whole when it's over, making sure I go around to everyone and be like, man, like what a year.
You're that guy? You're like, hold on, let me shake everyone's hand.
Yeah, what a year.
Hey, thank you for all your help this year.
Exactly.
Great. Yeah. Do you have a favorite players lounge moment of the year that you look back on and say that was it? That was the moment.
Man, Jordan Mailata is awesome at these things.
He's just good.
And everyone that comes, I appreciate it, and it's cool and it's awesome. But like Jordan Mailata is just the friendliest dude. And he like talks to everybody, he jokes around, he gets it, you know.
Charismatic.
Like not all players that do radio sometimes like get it. You know, he likes making. It feels like honestly, it feels like doing a radio show more.
Yeah. One flaw with Mailata on the radio show.
Oh, I know what it is.
My man doesn't realize he's on the radio.
He
sometimes.
does curse.
He drops some bombs.
He did say. So
I feel like it's like every time he's on, I'm like, oh, that was a dump.
Well, he says shoot now, which is
good.
good.
Yeah, he's
so
learning.
I
love it.
But
I love that.
Yeah, so there was a cool
The
moment.
radio producer is producing the segment. Love it.
Well, it's just so funny. Like you don't really dump.
Well,
guests, okay.
Yeah. This is literally my area of expertise, right? I've produced thousands over. Because you know the whole 10,000 hours thing. I've produced well over 10,000 hours of radio. Like I am, according to Malcolm Gladwell, an expert.
You're an expert
at producing radio.
I don't need Malcolm to tell me you're an expert.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
There is nothing more shocking than your guest cursing. There is nothing that can happen other than I guess your host cursing. And that only happened one time to me, and we've made a million jokes about it. About the camera cursing. The one time was the funniest thing. If you listen to the audio of us, it's basically me and Richie laughing for an hour straight, or excuse me, a minute straight after he does it. That's the audio. It's all of us just like dying on the air. But like when a guest curses, like because you're always listening for curses, like you're just kind of locked in. No matter what you answer, but it's always there.
The earmuffs are always on.
The earmuffs are always on. Exactly. But when you have a guest on, you relax a little bit. You're like, I got a guest on. This guy's not going to curse. Right. We're good. And it really catches you off guard.
Yeah.
So,
and you can tell it's a natural thing for him. Like he probably curses quite a bit on there. But so there was a cool moment on the Players Lounge last night. And for what it's worth, the interview is in the podcast feed. Where it's people if you want to listen to it. But so I think the number one question Jordan Mailata gets quite a bit is, what's this journey been like for you? Going from not knowing football to where you are. He's probably been asked it, you want to say the 10,000 hours thing? Like, I don't know.
10,000 times?
Yeah, like probably 10,000 times. And last night he brought up, kind of unprompted, or maybe I asked him, I forget. But basically this was kind of the first time he's really reflected on everything. And there was a video of him on the field crying when they made the Super Bowl. And it's stuff like that where, again, there's the staff and the fans and all that, and his media. Like, there's a lot of awesomeness involved in the fact that they're going to the Super Bowl. But think about Jordan Mailata.
Mm-hmm. I was playing rugby 5 years ago.
I mean, there was already going to be a movie about his life.
Yeah.
This is.
I mean, it's one of the
we're
most
watching the final scene. Like,
we've talked about it as
well, not the final scene.
Like,
obviously,
probably potentially the single like in terms of story, how it all plays out on maybe the greatest draft pick in the history of the NFL.
Yeah,
I think we can talk and we'll talk Jalen Hurts in a minute.
And I got Brock Purdy.
And it's funny enough because I'm gonna say I think Jalen Hurts might be the best Eagles draft pick of all time, just player for value and stuff. But in terms of just the whole league and the stories and all, like there might not be a better one than Mailata. Taking that guy in the 7th round, never having played football, and turning him. And also, I'm happy you brought up Mailata because this is something we haven't talked about a lot. Like he was one of those guys who for the first, two-thirds of the season or so was like, oh, they're playing great, but he's not. He doesn't look like we thought he did. That big contract franchise. He's been awesome.
Yeah.
He has completely. We have not talked at all about how dominant Mailata was in the playoffs in both playoff games. Like he has really, really, really stepped up his play. Well, that's exciting to see. I didn't realize it with the injury. That makes sense because he didn't look the same.
Well, it's such a perfect example too because I remember when, and this is obviously a different situation, but when the DeMar Hamlin thing. There was a lot of talk about, you never realize how hurt these guys are and they're dealing with everything. Jordan Mailata is probably going to need surgery when the offseason's over. He's been dealing with the shoulder injury all year. Remember, it happened like week 1 or 2, and it was, he's going to play through it. And so it just it leaves the consciousness. You don't think about it.
Yeah, you're right.
But he's still dealing with it all the time. He still gets therapy, treatment on it all the time. So, he's ended up having a great year. And to your point, what's funny about that draft is you think about
oh
Jalen
my God, it's
Mailata.
like there are different drafts. The Jalen and Mailata draft are different.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So the Mailata draft is like.
Oh no, you're right. That's
one
like
of Howie's
all
time. I mean, so that draft, every player's like playing. Matt Pryor's playing for another team, but the guy's playing for the Eagles.
And he could be here.
No first round pick either. He goes. What? It's Goddard. Goddard. Goddard's one before. It's the Maddox Sweat. No, I'm right. It's Goddard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Goddard Maddox, the same draft.
Goddard, Maddox, Sweat, Mailata all came out of that draft.
Was it 2018?
Yeah. That's 4 dudes who are big parts of your team. 3 of them from the 4th round on. Like Sweat and Maddox were 4th rounders, and Mailata is the 7th round.
All right, so here it is. I'll read it out.
Yeah.
Goddard, Maddox, Sweat, Pryor, Mailata.
Yeah,
so
just like you just said. Yeah. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, even Pryor's an NFL lineman.
Sweat in the 4th round.
That's what I mean. Sweat and Maddox were 4th rounders.
Yeah, that is
and then
crazy.
Mailata in the 7th, and then Goddard in the 2nd is a hit.
Was that the Wentz trade?
That was the Lamar Jackson trade where they traded.
Oh, yeah,
they
they
had
traded
the
back.
31st
You're
pick
right,
and they
you're right.
traded
They traded
back
back,
to
yeah.
get Goddard. But yeah, that's turned out to be an amazing draft. And the Hurts pick itself there are the misses. We won't get into it. That carries that draft. And obviously we've talked about the draft picks and how that's turned around.
Well,
even the last few years. I mean, look at how much Smith and Dickerson are playing a role and
Yeah.
all that type of stuff.
I mean, what's the last bet? I mean, Breger is the last bet.
It's
I'm trying to think outside of that. Who's been
look, that whole Hurts draft, it wasn't awesome. I mean, they had
I'm trying to think who was.
what was it was Quez, and Quez is fine.
Quez
But then
is
they
good,
had
right?
what's his name, other receiver who was not as good. They took
All right,
the round
so
before Quez.
2019, Dillard, Miles, Arcega-Whiteside. This one was bad.
This was bad.
Because it was basically only Miles. Dillard, you can debate, but a miss.
It's the next one that is. Hold on, let me see if I can remember real quick. Because I know
this is 2020.
Rager Hurts.
I'd be really impressed because there's a
Rager Hurts 1-2. Okay, I know
Yeah.
that. Now the receiver John guy. Oh, what's his name?
You're already not going to get this. It's okay. But I wanted you to keep track.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
So I know, and then obviously.
Do you just want to name them or you want them in order?
No. I'm just gonna try and name them.
Okay, well then, all right. Then you're right with that one.
Yeah, John. What's his last name?
I'll give you this one.
Hightower.
Yeah, I'll give you this one.
I knew that.
All right, so that's 3.
Sean Bradley was that draft,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Was Casey Toohill that draft?
Ooh, it was. That's 5.
Look at these pulls. How many do I have left? I'm not gonna get them all.
I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4,
Like,
5,
how many
6,
picks
7,
have we
8,
made?
9. There's 10 picks.
All right.
So you've got
I'm missing
Hurts,
the third.
Rager, Hightower, Bradley,
Watkins
is 5.
and Toohill. So I've gotten 6.
6.
Um.
So I'll give you. Do you want me to give you? A little hint?
Was it Patrick? No, he was later. Go
No.
ahead. Give me a hint. Yeah.
Okay. So one of these players is still actively playing on the team.
One of these players is still.
It's like a backup role, but he starter/backup. I'll give you a hint that he'll just make you get it.
Okay.
He punched somebody this past week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should remember that was the one pick I was excited about.
Yeah,
that year,
exactly.
Just give me that because it's probably not
Yeah.
super fun to
Is
listen
that
to.
Davion Taylor?
Oh yeah, sure.
It's shockingly still on the team,
Yeah.
like on the practice
Thanks,
squad.
bud.
Jack Driscoll, good
Sure,
pick.
that was a good pick.
Good pick for sure. Prince Tega Winogo, who is on the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
So,
that's it.
so regardless, I mean,
Yeah,
Hurts,
Rager, Hurts, Taylor, Watt, yeah.
Hurts carries that draft, and that's a good transition. I wanted to get into Hurts, and I want to get into this team and just
Yeah, I have a Hurts thought too.
yeah, well, just where we're at with this team, and I do think that over the next few weeks, and look, DeCamera already said it on the air yesterday, the first day of the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people are going to be saying it that they have to finish the job. But if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, this will be the best Eagles team we've ever seen, without a doubt. Like I think it's pretty clear. Like I think right now they're probably already the most talented. And I want to get into the overall of it, but with Hurts himself, like the season that this kid has had at the age of 24, again, he's still closer to his 24th birthday than his 25th. It is hands down the best season an Eagles quarterback has ever had. We're done. The statement is over. It's done. Like already. It's already
So
the best season an Eagles quarterback has ever had.
I want to agree with you. I think you're underestimating 04 McNabb. 04 McNabb, just to think about it, right? 04 McNabb was unbelievable. I'm pretty sure he didn't play the last 3 games or something
2
like
games.
that. 2 games. Also got to the Super Bowl, right? So now I think that when you're talking about the best season ever, there's 2 ways to look at it. You can do the statistics thing where it's, okay, this guy had a better statistical
Hurts had a
season.
better statistical
Okay,
season.
there's that, and that's a strong, that you can definitely use that argument. I also think because you're a big, Nick Foles won the Super Bowl guy, right? And that's your argument for him as the best quarterback of all time. Well, obviously, statistically, Nick Foles is not the best quarterback of all time. So my argument, though, for McNabb wouldn't even be statistics, although his were good for the time. I just think when you think back to that season, he was pretty unbelievable. Now, Hurts has been unbelievable, too.
Should we all hold up? Hold up.
Was McNabb in it, too, that year?
Yeah, but not every Eagles fan was not saying, "Oh, how is Donovan not the MVP?"
Really?
This is an
Honest
outrage.
question. I don't remember.
He was in the running,
Okay.
but like this year, we all agree Jalen Hurts is the MVP. He's the
Yeah.
MVP of the league. He went 16-1. The list of quarterbacks in the Super Bowl era who've gone to the Super Bowl with 16 wins and 0-1 losses is 5 players deep.
Tom Brady.
5
obviously.
players. Brady 18-0, Montana 16-1 in '84. Cam Newton 17-1 in 2015 MVP season. Remember?
Yeah, I was at
Mahomes 16-1 in 2020, and now Hurts. That's
Wow.
it in the history of the Super Bowl.
It's a strong argument.
I mean, now you could flip it around and say if Donovan had played those last 2 games, maybe he could have been one of those guys if they
Right.
carried that season through. But they lost in the Super Bowl too, and Donovan didn't play great. And it is what it is. It's part of the legacy. Now, Jalen could hurt his legacy a bit in this game, but just in terms of up till now and what they've done in the playoffs. I mean, again, they won 69-14 in the playoffs. All the stuff, I'm loving all the stats going around because everyone's weak schedule. The Ruben Frank one. Did you see the Ruben Frank one yesterday? So in the history of the NFL history, there are only 3 teams that have gone 9-1 against winning teams. This year's Eagles is one of them. So they have literally the best record in the history of the sport against winning teams. Like
the who they play thing is the.
And here's another one. This is a good one by Patrick Causey. Good follow on Twitter. I love Patrick. He wrote, the Eagles faced 7 playoff teams with Jalen Hurts was the starter. They were 7-0 and won by a combined score of 218-97.
Wow.
That's an average victory of 17.28 points per game when Jalen was on the field against winning teams. Like that's astounding. That doesn't matter who the competition is. That's you're beating the crap out of people.
I know. And I think that early on in the year, there was a perception that the league wasn't that good this year. And
I do think that compared to old school, yes, the league is not as deep. It's deeper, but it's more parity.
I think the 3 teams in the AFC and the Eagles could go to any year of any football team.
Love this.
I mean, seriously, we'll just focus on the Eagles for a second. The Eagles have an offensive and defensive line that any year, I don't care, the 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever.
They dominate.
They are one of the best teams in the league. The Chiefs, one of the best teams in the league. The Bengals, one of the best teams in the league. The Bills. There are elite teams in this league. Now, the Eagles did not play those teams, and I get that. But at the same time, I think, and frankly, I blame Tom Brady for this. I think early on in the year, Brady realized the Bucs sucked, and he said the whole man, if you look around the league, there's not a lot of great football. To explain away why the Bucs suck, and everybody just bid onto that and decided to make it the talking point. But in reality, it's not been a bad year.
It's the same.
It's not been a bad year at all.
They've all been similar.
Dude, think about this: the Vikings, we all agree aren't that good. They won a ton of games. There were a lot of good teams this year, and so this idea that the Eagles didn't beat anybody, it's just flawed. It's like the Niners didn't beat anybody. Then you want to go down?
Nobody did. If you're going to use that argument, the Eagles beat more people than anybody else.
The only team that beat
Eagles
people
beat more teams than anyone else in the history of football. 3 teams ever 9-1 against winning teams.
Yeah, I agree.
You can only play the competition you play in a given year. The Eagles faced that competition and went 16-1 with their starting quarterback.
Well, and what's interesting about the Eagles is
16-1.
They're definitely one of the most forward-thinking organizations in the league. They do things that other teams don't do. They study trends. They're trend setters, right? But simplistically, at the heart of why they're so good is they just invest in the trenches a bunch. And that is something that transcends generations. It transcends any year, any league. I'll say it again. The Eagles could play the Patriots that went undefeated that year and have a really good chance of beating them.
I think the point is, especially now when you talk about the fact that they're going to go into the Super Bowl with 22 of 22 starters, assuming wins. I think you could argue that come Super Bowl time, this group right now would have a chance against anyone just because of how healthy they are and it's as talented a roster as we've ever had in Philly, without a doubt. It's one of the upper echelon talented rosters we've seen in our time covering football. Just pure talent at each position.
I love a good hyperbolic, I love it. Exactly.
I know.
But in all seriousness, when you consider the fact that they almost set the NFL sack record, they have an amazing offensive line, they can run the ball, and then they have obviously really good skill players.
And MVP, get one of the top 2 MVP candidates at quarterback.
I mean, what's a team in NFL history that you think they could line up against and not be competitive? Because the way they win is not cutting edge. It's not like in 20.
They win every way.
Well, so it
doesn't matter who you are. They're going to run it on you. They're going to pass on you. They're going to do whatever it takes to beat you.
Well, so in 2013, when Chip took the league by storm, he was doing the whole speed up thing, right? That was gimmicky. So you can make the argument that you put him in the 80s or 90s or, some teams these days, and it just doesn't work. It wouldn't work. But I think no matter what style no matter what league you put the Eagles in, time of the league, they could play whatever style was needed. If it was run the ball, they would be one of the best running teams available. If it was, throw the ball, they've shown this year they can do that. It's so at their core, the reason they're so good, and this is another thing I'll say about it too. So I've been doing a lot of research on the Chiefs, and we're going to get into them closer to the game.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. I research the Chiefs, and every time I do it, I'm looking for reasons that I think the Eagles could beat them or, whatever. And one constant that actually has had me come out of it even more impressed by the Eagles is whenever I look at the Chiefs and I go, man, they're like so good at this, and this. The Eagles are right there with them. And
then the Eagles are good in ways they're not.
Well, so I'm excited to talk about the game when we do. But it really, when you're so close to a situation, and it sounds crazy to say now because we're talking about them being the best team of all time. But when you're so close,
we get myopic. We talk about it all
a lot
the time.
Of flaws. And so then when I look at the Chiefs on a macro sense, it's they're number one in this, and this. I'm like, oh my God, like who could ever beat this team? And then I look, and it's like, well, the Eagles are tied for first with them in this. They're second in this. They're ahead of them in this. So the Eagles are really, really good, and you see that in the fact that they're favorites in this game.
They're favorites.
And people are picking them.
I'm picking them. Well, I don't need 2 weeks. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I feel super confident.
So
honestly, way more confident than I should already. Remember last week? It took us like the week to get there. Like we were confident, but not like I'm super confident the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. And look, I could be wrong. And to your point, especially Mahomes, like this is easily the toughest challenge they have faced this year, without a doubt. And they could lose. Don't get me wrong. But I'm confident. I'm confident in this team going in there and winning. I just think they're better.
I'm not there yet, but
okay,
we have time, right?
All right. I want to hear your Hurts thought. Download the Bet Parks.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, this is the time. I mean, there is nothing more fun to bet on than the big game. Am I right? The big game is
That's what people often tweet me.
Yes.
They
say
text me. Yeah.
The big game.
They go, hey, man, you got one in the big game.
It's important to say the big game. Yeah, you got to say the big game in these situations. It's just one of those things that you have to do.
I mean, think about this. The Eagles are going to the big game.
They're going to the game. And you can bet on it.
That might be the title.
Yeah, the Eagles. Seriously, though. There's nothing more fun than it. Like every year, we all know it. It's the one time a football game is talked about where every single bet that you can make at the game is part of sports radio conversations, part of like everyone talks about it. It's the props, it's all this stuff. There's so like if you're not betting on the big game, like
what are you doing?
What are you doing with your life?
So at this point, if you're not doing it, you're probably not going to do it, which is sad. But I will say, if there's ever a time to do it, it's the Super Bowl because everybody is doing it.
You mean
imagine going to a Super Bowl
party? The big game.
Oh yes,
the big game. It's okay. We can fix that. Only they'll know.
Yeah, you're right. My pod. I'm talking about the big.
It's the one thing that they're very, 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 very serious about these things.
Yes. So I have a favorite early bet for the big game.
Okay.
Hassan Reddick, big game MVP.
Yeah, was it like plus 3,500 or something?
Plus 3,000.
Yeah.
I think there's a real chance he could get it. I know it's always the quarterback, but
look, if they had given
one, he has 2 sacks and a forced fumble.
If they had given one for the NFC Championship game, he would have gotten it.
Agreed.
And look, those are great odds. And that's the most fun thing is going through and all the long odds and all the fun things and all the stuff you can bet on the big game. So do it now. Download the app in the App Store, Google Play, or at betparks.com. Use our promo code GOBIRDS. That's GOBIRDS to get $750 back in bonus site credit if your first bet is not a winner. Again, you must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Again, promo code.
It's funny. We just went on that whole thing about how guests never curse and stuff.
And then you did the one thing. Yeah, you basically cursed.
I would have rather you curse. It might be on my new list of curse words, which we'll never do because this team is.
They won't hear it in the pod.
No, I know.
Take it out of the pod.
This is what you watch live.
So you got 30 people watching. Shout out to those people.
Shout out to those people.
Yeah. All right. Hurts. You said you had a Hurts though.
I did, and now I'm trying to remember.
Oh no. You got all thrown off by your curse.
Okay, yeah, I think
your ill-advised curse.
This is what it was. That we did. This is what it was because it was when we were talking about super. Yeah, we were talking about signage, right? So when Foles was on that stuff, it was like, wow, look how crazy this is. I can't believe he's there. It's just weird to see. In 20 years, people look back at old signs from that Super Bowl and be like, what is this guy doing on there? Hurts belongs on there.
Oh, yeah.
Hurts should be viewed by the league and promoted as such as one of the new faces of the league. One of the new guys that the NFL wants to promote.
I agree with you.
He's awesome. He's like
he does everything right. He never says anything wrong. He's
if you could pick one player in the league, and there's tons of great players, to just like speak to a group of kids How many are doing a
If
better
you
job
could
than
pick
Jalen?
one person to date your sister,
Yes.
Jalen, like any of these cliches or colloquialisms or whatever you want to say, like, if I had one person who could babysit my kids and like whatever you want to say, he's the answer
Maybe
for
like
all
watching
of them.
film.
He's
and
the
doing
most
chores.
responsible person in the league. It feels like at 24.
Yeah. So I know I went on my cigar rant, but the picture of Jalen Hurts sitting by his locker smoking the cigar.
By the way, shout out for wearing the Prince Purple. He gets it.
Yeah. Is that what it was? You think intentional?
Yeah, Prince Purple.
Okay. Well, I mean. I think you can wear purple without it being.
You can, but I think it was Prince.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to choose to believe it was Prince Purple. But Jalen gets. He's an old soul.
Yeah, for sure. I will say if anyone gets it, it's Jalen. But he's everything you want in a quarterback, man, and he deserves to be up there next to Mahomes. This isn't, oh my God, I can't believe Jalen's there. These are two of the best young quarterbacks in the league facing off in the biggest game, leading two of the biggest offenses, two of the best playmakers in the league. I mean, to take like a macro sense and to everyone like fly, this is bad, but to everybody like go high, get higher for a second and like look down at what's happening. Like
the 30,000 foot.
Yeah, there it is. Yes. The Eagles have one of the best young playmakers at quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks, one of the most marketable people in the entire league. And that's why when I think about this team, 2017 was awesome and they were great, but they caught fire with a backup at the right time.
Well, yeah.
This team, Jalen Hurts, like this is the beginning of Jalen Hurts being everything.
So Jalen Hurts is who we thought Carson Wentz was. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it. Jalen Hurts this year. Jalen Hurts is what we actually thought Wentz was.
It's a really
in
good
2017.
point. I wish I would have thought of that.
It just came to me.
Yeah, it's. There's nothing better than when something just. But it's so true. If you think about the Eagles' history of quarterback, like the Super Bowl runs they've been on. McNabb took them to one, right? But even when McNabb took him to 1 in 2004, it kind of fell apart from there. He was older. He had been through a lot of things.
They had that
point.
one last run.
Yeah, they had the one surprise 1 in 2008. But, Vic took him into the playoff once. That never led to anything. What's funny is when we were talking about best seasons by quarterbacks, we never bring up 27-2 by Foles.
I know.
But obviously a great year.
Yeah.
Foles took him to the Super Bowl.
Lost.
He was not even the starter next year.
Yeah.
In terms of just reasons to believe moving forward with a quarterback that feels like it's the beginning of something, the franchise has never had this. This is the moment of franchise, the best moment of franchise of this guy is the guy, and he's going to be promoted by on the biggest stage, one of the biggest games in the world.
Yeah.
And he's earned every bit of it.
No, it's
I remember being at 2017, watching Carson throw on the field with his knee brace on and thinking, man, this future's bright. Think now. The guy's actually playing in the game.
I know. And again, like the guy played essentially, was like you said, he played in the playoff game. He had playoff wins. Carson doesn't.
Yeah, Carson has no playoff
wins. He's got 2 playoff wins now. Right. And then on top of that, just, we've been around this kid enough now to know that he is, to your point you were just making, just a completely different personality from Carson Wentz. He's perfect. He's perfect. He's perfect. Like, he is so perfect. It's hard to believe. It's like he was engineered in a freaking lab. It was like, all right, what are all the traits we want to put into like the perfect human to front an organization, and to your point, to front a league? Like, what traits do we want to build? It's like we're on like Sim City or whatever. I don't even know if you build people on that. I know you build players, but I'm not a video game guy.
Yeah.
But it's whatever you create, like a person. Like, it's like they went in the lab. We're like, all right, like, yep, he's gonna be humble. Okay, he's gonna make other people better. He's never gonna talk about himself. It's always gonna give it to other people. Like all these things you can go through. The dedication. He's always gonna be there working. He's gonna be the first guy here, last guy. Like all these things. Like he's all of them.
And
he's all of them.
What's crazy is how quickly it all came together.
I know, because
we spent all offseason debating if he was the guy, and I think we were right to have that discussion. Mm-hmm. I don't think we were wrong.
Well, all of Eagles fandom.
That's what I mean.
And there were gradations. Like there was. Like you and I had been at gradations. You believed in Hurts, but I believed more.
Yeah.
And then 100%. There were the OG leads. There were people like fully believed. And we got a lot of people
fully out.
And then we had and there were a lot. Like it was a real spectrum of belief in Jalen Hurts and what he could be.
So this was my other Jalen point actually.
That I wanted to make.
Brought it back. So there's a bit of, I think, revisionist history, and this is probably me being on Twitter too much. But there's a lot of people tweeting now.
You?
No, I know. Yeah. A lot of people on Twitter right now tweeting the whole, well, we were never that negative about the Jalen pick. Let's be real.
Oh my
Everybody hated the Jalen.
I think it's the most criticized pick that in my lifetime watching the Eagles, other than personally, because I hate the Jalen pick, but I hate in the moment, like there's no worse picking than
the regular one.
Like it's true.
I know,
Justin Jefferson, my favorite.
And I like Jefferson too.
Yeah, but you were my favorite receiver in the draft. Like I was so
excited
excited about him, and I was like, at least we get Jefferson. We didn't. like the Hurts thing. I even said this to you after. I was like, look, I don't like the pick, but at least like it's interesting. Like at least it captures my attention. The Rager pick was just a horrible pick, but there is no question that there is no revisionist history here. 98% of Eagles fans said, earmuffs 1, 2, 3. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, 100%. And I remember, so each year, before the draft, I'll do like 5 quarterbacks Eagles could consider, 5 receivers, 5 linebackers. And I had Jalen that year as my number 1 quarterback they should consider. But
flex.
But at the time of the pick, I was like, what are they doing? I didn't think you'd actually take the guy in the second round.
It was crazy. They just paid Wentz.
But obviously it ended up being a fantastic
it's the greatest pick in history.
But
all worked out.
Question I had for you was, so Jalen is perfect in every way. We agree. What do you think about the comment he made after the game? I know I'm going to paraphrase.
The people didn't want me here thing.
Yeah, like no one wanted me drafted, but it wasn't about the fans. So it was like a vagueness.
So I think
he followed up on it saying,
look, I think first of all he's earned the right at this point to
dude, if he wins a Super Bowl,
throw a touch of shade.
The flex he'll be able to take afterwards.
I think he has earned a little shade to be able to throw. I think he's earned a little shade insurance, so to speak, where he can get away with some stuff without us coming back on.
I didn't know what he should say.
But also, I can't wait. I want to hear that in a second. But I will say, like, I did think, and I watched the way he said and stuff, it did feel a little like knowing, like he wasn't, it wasn't like something that's gnawed at him, or it was more just like factual. Like he's right. Like he was like, listen, I think he was saying when I got drafted, there was a franchise quarterback here.
Yeah, I don't think he means the fans.
I think he means that Carson Wentz was here. And when I was drafted, there was probably a lot, whether fans, whatever, there were a lot of people who were like, what is happening right now? And now they know. And I had no issue with it. I thought it was, as far as that stuff goes, about as subtle and under the radar, as he could have done it.
It's just weird moments.
It was a weird moment, but you know what? Look, again, this is, like we just talked about, one of the most competitive humans I've ever seen in my life.
It is wild.
And yet he never lets it out, right? Like even our freaking head coach can't hide his competitiveness. Yeah. Even our competitiveness. And our freaking head coach is like a psychopath. On he's me on the side.
He really is. Yeah.
This was for five.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like that'd be me on the sidelines. Like Jalen is just as competitive and but he internalizes it and keeps it in stuff. So at a certain point, like that's gonna come out. Like at a certain point when you're down, like it's impossible not to even like doubt me. Just
so here's what I think Jalen should say if he wins Super Bowl MVP.
Bring it.
Because there's an easy part of him to go up there and be like, you doubted me at Alabama, you doubted me at Oklahoma, you doubted me in the draft. He can take the ultimate you doubted me.
He won't, but yes.
Here's what I think he should say. Something along these lines. Someone's gonna say, Jalen, what would you say to everybody that doubted blah blah blah? I think his message should be give people a chance. Don't count people out just because of preconceived notions. Don't preconceive what you think of somebody, and because of that, say what they can't do. Don't put limits on people.
It's like
Nick. And again, this goes back to
it goes back to that's the heart of Jason Kelsey's speech back in 2017. Yeah. That's the heart of what he's talking about. He's saying you all doubted each one of these people, and you were wrong to doubt them. Like,
I mean, think about, again, for the league's perspective, Jalen sitting up there with the MVP of the Super Bowl. And he's able to sit there and go
like Jordan style.
Yeah, he's able to.
Jordan comp fully comes full circle.
Hey, for real, he's able to, and I think he thought of that when he took the picture. But
I'm sure he did. It was the most Jordan-y picture of it. And you know what? My guy trying to mimic Michael Jordan the way he goes about his business. Oh, yep.
Yeah, fine with it. Right.
Cool.
But
cool. Talk about the most competitive person ever lived.
Yeah, it's better than mimicking Tom Brady and sitting there eating like avocado ice cream or whatever. Wow. But so I think that Jalen can sit up there with this Super Bowl MVP and go to like any kid out there that said that people tell you can't do something. I'm the living proof you can. And there's not many people that can really get up on that podium and say that. But I think that's what he should say.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think he should get up and say, bleep all you. No.
Yeah. Well, the last Jalen.
Yeah, it would be hilarious if after the whole year, whatever, he finally was Super Bowl, he's like, bleep all the haters.
So like, funny. He shows all his personalities up there, like, finger wagging, he's slamming the table. Yeah. He's just like going wild. Wow, it's an all-time video moment for people that are watching. So
I know people don't know how to make gifs because that.
Yeah,
people don't know how to make.
I do actually know how to make a gif. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll make.
And you would have the Jason Kelsey doing the
it's so good. It's so good. The other thing I'll say about the Jalen. It is kind of wild. He literally just came in and took the job from Carson.
Oh, yeah.
And Carson collapsed, but...
Carson, no, that's not fair. Carson handed him the job and Jalen took it. I think they were both complicit.
I think it's,
Carson,
it's a bit of both,
because they gave Carson way longer than they should have in 2020.
100%.
He should have been benched after 5 games, not 12 or whatever.
But I do think there was probably part of it where
you're not going back.
Well, so this is the other thing about what Jalen said. Do you think somebody somewhere in the organization, like very high up, whether it was Doug, Howie, Larry, do you think Jalen was told when he was drafted,
you're a backup?
No, like, you're the guy. This is because he said the thing later on the press conference, which was, something along the lines of, you might not know now, but now you see. I think people now understand. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, there's certainly a possibility like Lori went to him and was like, I believe in you.
Or Doug. Maybe Doug said,
maybe Doug.
He's always been very clear about how much, and I think obviously Howie and Larry.
Doug and Doug and Carson clearly didn't.
Yeah. But it was just a weird way to phrase it on, people didn't see it, now they know.
Who knows? Look, I think, the Eagles can say all they want that the only reason they took him was to be.
Shot.
It's you don't use a second round pick for that. You use a 4th round pick for that.
Yeah,
especially if you're a quarterback developers and stuff. You find someone with some physical abilities.
Right.
You take him in the 4th round, maybe late 3rd at the earliest, like they did with Foles back in the day, like that type of thing. And you say, all right, we're going to develop this guy as our clear backup to our quarterback. They used the 53rd pick in the draft on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, no way. That was just like it partially okay. It was 2-pronged. We can have him as a backup if Carson works out, but you know what? Carson might not work out because of this. And then we got this guy we like a lot too. That was the thought process.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't
care what they say.
I think it was, if Carson doesn't turn it around, we have our safety net. And if Carson does, then we have our guy either way.
You have a great backup.
But I think they took Jalen thinking he could be the guy.
They did not draft him without.
And at the time, I should have seen it.
I don't think you should have. No one should have. None of us did.
I
can't blame you for that, buddy.
I think
all were angry. Yeah, well, you didn't believe him once, so you probably should have seen it more than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't believe at the time I wasn't, but whatever.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back the next day. Back the next day. Yeah, it's 8:06.
Oh, yeah.
It's work time, buddy.
It is.
Especially, I got to walk you out. I got to walk back.
Oh, yeah.
We got a whole thing going on. But we're also like 36 minutes into the pod.
You're right.
And we have to do final thoughts. That's how fun this is. We thought these were 15 minutes.
I know.
We need to get up earlier maybe and come in earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although what's funny is each morning I think we text each other at 6:45 the camera ready, by the way.
Yeah.
It's never
7. We leave it 7. Okay. So back tomorrow, back the next day, back the next day, Saturday show, back on next week. We're rolling. Lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
So Arizona, which is where the Eagles will be playing in the big game, they don't do daylight saving times, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
Okay. But regardless, everywhere is getting rid of daylight savings time in a little bit. There's like a new law that was passed. I don't know when it's going to happen, but they're getting rid of it. And I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm so happy about this." I'm going to miss the clock changing. I'm going to miss it all of a sudden being lighter than it was the day before because of the time. I'm going to miss it being like, I like it. I enjoy the clock changing. This whole idea that we should keep it the same, I'm off that now. I think I want them to continue to keep it so that when, whatever day of the year leaps forward, jumps back, I'm in. I don't like that they're changing it.
Are they changing it? Is that happening?
Yeah, it's like a law. Like
they're going to change. There's no more days. That's actually happening. I know that they talked about it, but I didn't think it was actually happening.
So I was discussing this with beat writers, and they seem to be pretty sure it was happening.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's happening.
I don't care either way. This is 0.
I think that I like it. Like, you're at the bar. Now I'm at the bar.
As someone who has a kid, it is annoying because then it's like, why is it light out? It's bedtime. Sorry, Zoe. But it's light out. I don't go to bed when it's light out. Like, trust me. Like, people with kids are probably like, nah, we're good without that.
Well, here's the good news. Kristen goes to bed whenever.
See, look at
me and Kristen go to bed whenever.
Yeah,
that. Exactly.
Sure. I don't care either way about daylight savings. So whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, I don't like the change.
Well, okay.
Just put that
controversial take, believe it or not.
Here's the thing. My life is consumed with football and Super Bowl right now, so I don't have a lot of exterior.
Have you been watching Abbott Elementary? Did you keep watching it?
Abbott Elementary? Yeah. No. I like it. It just.
Why would the guy who went to Philly public schools watch?
I know, and it's good. Yeah.
Okay, so I said I had a TV take today.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yesterday. So Ava, the principal, Janelle James.
I know this
is the best one-liner character on TV, maybe in TV history, and it's not close.
I mean,
some for one lines. No Christopher Wallace, no Biggie.
Is that the joke?
No Christopher Wallace is Biggie.
Yeah. No right.
No
okay,
Christopher Wallace, no Biggie.
Yeah.
You're not Sam Cooke. Change is not gonna come. Girl, you could sell a scarf to Lenny Kravitz with that pitch. amazing.
Right.
And
I
I'm
can't
not
believe you wrote
selling
these all
them.
down.
Yeah, I wrote them all down.
Did you find like a Google
Oh,
list?
you're the sub? Forgive me. I thought one of my colleagues here hired a stripper for me at school.
Right.
This is my art. I write, I edit, I direct, I do music, I lip sync. Because of me, when people say their favorite director is that Ava lady, somebody else got to be like, which one?
So do you think
She's amazing.
Do you think the
amazing?
actress is who I'm
Janelle James is the actress's name.
First of all, I wonder if the main star of Abbott Elementary listens to the pod. She's an Eagles
Quinta
fan.
Brunson,
She's an
I
Eagles
highly
fan.
doubt it, but if you do, Quinta, you freaking rock.
Well,
and your show is amazing, and I love you.
Think about this. You're literally reading lines from the show.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe she'll have you on.
Shout out to Quinta. Guest spot on Abbott.
If they win the Super Bowl and there's an Abbott Elementary like episode about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, I don't see how we're doing that. I mean, first of all, I've watched like 7 episodes.
Yeah, watch every episode.
I'm one of the biggest fans there is.
Seriously, if you're not watching it, it is
It
great.
is really good.
It's great. It's got all kinds of cool, like under the radar Philly references. Like
Yeah,
you
and
live
if
here, you get it. You don't. Like the first episode of the season had AJ Brown joke. Like
if you went
it's
to
awesome.
public school too, like from the
It's very. She was a teacher.
That's what I
in
mean.
Philly
The
public
school
schools.
itself even
It's
very much looks
Yeah,
like,
the outside is a shot of an
Yes,
actual
yeah.
Philly school.
Yeah.
Like it is authentic. It's hilarious, and again, it's Philly pride.
So did you write those all down, or did you find like?
So
a
I
list
wrote
of,
down 3 of them, and then I wanted a couple extras, so I went to find a list. But the 3 I wrote down as I was watching the show.
That's
So I've been
okay,
thinking
yeah.
about this take for a little while, so I've waited for
Been
some of my
simmering
favorite ones as they went. 2 of those were even in the same episode.
How about that?
So good.
So good.
That's my take. Best one-liner
It's a good
character in television. Thank you. I came with a take today, not just thought.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Scott. There are some.
So
people
I'm
that
saying when the original take was right now. She is the best on TV right now. And then I was saying maybe history, but she is the best on TV right now. Michael Scott not on TV right now.
Good point.
So
I won't fight you on it.
Nor should you.
Well,
I'm correct.
yeah.
Quinta, our loyal fan, Quinta.
Yeah, she can chime in. I mean, a lot of people listen to the pod.
Yeah. Quinta!
Thanks for listening.
If you know Quinta, how about that? That's where I am more likely one. If you know Quinta, if you're friends with Quinta, tell her we're fans.
Tweet at
Or
Abbott
I'm fans.
Elementary or at her on her Twitter account.
Come on the Go Birds pod.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get Quinta Brunson on the pod.
She might be their Super Bowl.
We have so few guests on the
Yeah.
pod. It'd be funny if we got
That was
Quinta
yeah. I will say she could be at Super Bowl week. She's
All
an
right.
Eagles fan.
If you know Quinta Brunson, tell her I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, me
and
too.
Elliot is.
You're
too.
James a bigger fan.
Yeah, but Elliot's a Philly public school kid.
Yeah,
So go with
exactly.
that. Okay.
Talk about
And
my
Elliot's
sister.
been raising money.
Yeah,
for Philly.
exactly.
I mean, come on. She
Maybe we'll try
probably
to
would
make this
donate.
happen.
bet.
I was gonna say maybe I'll try to make this
Got
happen.
some loot these days.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think she's doing good.
All right. Everyone who tunes into this, you're make my heart.
I always think it's
warm.
funny for people that tune in like randomly and like this is not an Eagles pod. Like,
It
we
is in
started off
proportions.
talking about rain.
Proportions.
Yeah, this is
All right.
the middle part.
We'll
the
be
heart
back
of it.
tomorrow to talk Eagles and other stuff too. Until then, he's out of the Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
You rule. I love every single one of you, literally.
Tommy in there. I see Jared. I can't pronounce Zayed, I think.
Nailed it.
Stefan, Bolo,
Steve.
Phil.
Steve the legend. Steve's a legend, it says.
Steve is that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it says it, right?
Yeah.
So,
You-
all I
I
can
don't
go
think
with
they
is
just give
what
him
Steve-
that name.
Yeah,
So.
I mean,
All
it's a
right.
bold move. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.